She mocked me and said, "I'm just too much woman for you." So I looked her in the eyes, told her she was just too much drama, and walked out while she sat there flirting with a waiter, and her parents arrived to a home I no longer lived in. I'm 32, remember that night so clearly, like the universe wanted to make sure I never forgot it. I was sitting across from the woman I had loved for years, the woman I had promised my life to, the woman I truly believed would stand by me through everything. But instead of looking at me with love in her eyes, she was leaning forward and laughing with some waiter right in front of me, as if I didn't exist, as if I was nothing but empty space across the table. We had been together for 4 years, married for 2, and everyone always said we were the perfect couple. Her parents loved me like their own son. My family welcomed her with open arms, and for the longest time, I thought we were happy. I thought our love was strong, steady, real. But sitting there in that dimly lit restaurant, watching her play with her hair and bite her lip the same way she used to do with me when we first met, I realized something had changed a long time ago, and I had just refused to see it. First, it was small things. Harmless-sounding comments about other men. How her coworker was so funny. How a guy at the gym was so motivated. How a bartender remembered her favorite drink every time she walked in. She would say these things casually, like she was just sharing stories, and I tried not to overthink it. She was outgoing and charismatic. That was one of the things I loved about her. But slowly, that warm personality turned into something sharper, something that cut. The friendly became flirty. The flirty became disrespectful. And the disrespect became unavoidable. I tried harder. I tried being more understanding, more supportive, more patient. But she only pulled further away while telling me it was my fault for not holding on tighter. 3 weeks ago, she told me her parents were coming to visit. They lived far away and didn't visit often, so we wanted everything to be perfect. I cleaned the house, got the guest room ready, bought her dad's favorite whiskey and her mom's favorite wine. We even made dinner reservations at a beautiful Italian place they once mentioned they wanted to try. Then, on the day they were supposed to arrive, she called me and suggested we grab a drink before they got there. Just the two of us. She said it would be romantic. She said we needed time together. For a moment, I thought maybe things were finally getting better. I was wrong. When I arrived at the restaurant, she was already seated, dressed up, makeup done flawlessly, hair perfect, and something about that immediately hit me. She didn't put in this much effort for me anymore. But I ignored the feeling and sat down, hoping for a night where we could reconnect. And then the waiter showed up. He was young, confident, the kind of guy who looked like life had always been easy for him. And the second he stepped up to our table, she changed completely. Her eyes lit up. Her voice got softer. Her laugh got louder. Her hands touched her hair again and again. I watched her flirt with him right in front of me. Not subtle. Not innocent. Not mistaken. Deliberate. Like I wasn't even there. Like I was just background noise while she performed for an audience who didn't know he was watching someone else's wife. I tried to stay calm. I tried to speak to her. I told her it made me uncomfortable. I told her it was disrespectful. And she didn't even pretend to care. She rolled her eyes and told me I was being dramatic. She told me the waiter was just being friendly and that I should try being less serious all the time. She said I should learn how to have fun. And then she said the line that broke something inside me. "I guess I'm just too much woman for you." She smirked when she said it. Like she thought it was clever. Like she thought it was cute. Like she thought I would sit there and take it. But I didn't. I looked right back at her. And my voice was calm. Calm in a way that only comes when a person finally reaches the end of what their heart can endure. I said, "No. You're not too much woman. You're just too much drama." Her smile disappeared. Her face lost its color. Her confidence cracked. And I stood up. I put money on the table for both drinks and a tip. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cause a scene. I didn't beg her to see me. I didn't ask her to stop. I just walked away. And she wasn't smiling anymore. She was left sitting there, with the waiter who didn't know what to say, while her parents were already on their way to a house I would no longer be living in. I sat in my car for a moment after leaving the restaurant, my hands still trembling slightly from the mix of anger and sadness that had been brewing inside my chest. The evening air felt heavy, almost as if the world itself was holding its breath, watching me process the reality I had been denying for so long. I had always believed that love was about patience, growth, understanding, and choosing each other even on the difficult days. But that night, as I watched her flirting with that waiter while glancing at me with that smug smile, I realized that she never chose me. She only chose the spotlight. She only chose attention. She only chose what fed her ego. And I just happened to be the most convenient stage for her performance. Driving home, the city lights blurred past my window, and each one felt like a reminder of the countless nights I had spent trying to be enough for someone who never intended to see me. I remembered the nights I stayed awake talking her through tears she caused herself, the days I rearranged my life just to fit into hers, the moments I sacrificed my comfort to keep her happy. And yet, in the end, all she had for me was a sneer, a mocking laugh, a disrespect she didn't even bother to hide. That realization didn't break me, freed me. There was a strange calm in knowing I no longer needed to convince someone to value me. When I reached our house, I walked inside without hesitation. I didn't slam doors, I didn't yell, I didn't break anything. I moved with a soft, quiet certainty that felt completely new. I gathered my few things, my bag, a few clothes, important papers, the books I loved, and the gifts I had given myself. I didn't touch anything I bought for her. I didn't want any memory of this version of her following me. The house was so quiet, and for the first time, I realized how loud her presence always had to be to feel valid. She needed noise to feel alive. But I didn't. I just needed peace. I left my key on the table beside the small flower vase she always forced me to refill every week just for her Instagram aesthetic. How strange it felt to see those flowers sitting there. Beautiful but lifeless. Just decoration. Just show. Just like every word she ever spoke to impress strangers more than she ever tried to love me. I took one last look at the living room we had shared, the space where I thought we were building a life together, and I walked out, quietly, calmly, with my dignity intact. As I drove away, I knew exactly what was about to happen next. She would eventually come home, laugh still on her lips from whatever flirty moment she thought made her seem desired. She would walk into that house expecting me to be waiting there like always, ready to apologize for feeling disrespected, ready to take the blame again, ready to accept less than I deserved. But instead, she would find silence, an empty home, my key on the table, and no explanation, just the absence of the man who once loved her enough to stay, and the presence of the consequences of the games she played. She returned home later that night, still wearing that same confident smile she had worn at the restaurant, the one that told the world she believed she was untouchable. But the moment she opened the door and stepped inside, that smile slowly began to fall apart. The house was quiet, too quiet. No soft lamp light waiting. No scent of fresh coffee I usually made for her at night. Just silence, heavy, cold, and final. She called my name once, then again, sharper this time, as if raising her voice could pull me back. But only echo answered her. And then she saw it, the key I had left on the table, lying beside the vase of perfect, lifeless flowers. That was when her breathing changed. That was when reality finally reached her. Her parents arrived moments later, expecting dinner, laughter, and the illusion of the life she pretended to have under control. Instead, they walked into a tension so thick it felt like a wall in the room. Her mother looked at the key, then at her daughter, then at the hollow space where my things used to be, and she knew. Parents always know when something done cannot be undone. Her father spoke first, his voice low but firm, asking what happened. And for the first time, she had no clever words, no performance, no audience to applaud her. Just silence, regret, and a heart finally realizing the price of the attention she always chased. She sat on the floor of that living room, her hands pressed to her face as her shoulders trembled. Not because she lost me out of some deep soulful love, but because she finally understood that I was the only person who had ever given and given without asking for applause in return. She lost the one person who didn't need to be impressed. The one person who didn't need her to perform. The one person who loved her quietly, sincerely, and entirely. And when she looked up at the doorway where I once stood every day waiting for her to come home, she realized I would never walk through it again. Meanwhile, I sat alone in a small rented room across the city, the air still and peaceful around me. I didn't cry. I didn't smile. I just breathed, deeply, freely, like someone who finally remembered what it felt like to have space inside their own chest. I didn't need revenge. I didn't need to prove anything. I didn't need her to apologize. Leaving was enough. Choosing myself was enough. Peace was enough. And that was the ending to a story that should have ended the moment she believed hurting me made her powerful. Because strength isn't loud. Strength isn't dramatic. Strength isn't a performance. Strength is walking away when staying would mean loving yourself less.